Welcome to Faces of Parkinson's. I'm Robert Cochran, your host, and today I'm joined by my friend Lampros. Lampros, how are you?
I am well. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for joining. So you found Faces of Parkinson's via the Davis-Finney website. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got one of my email notifications about them, and I noticed that you were doing this project.
Excellent, and thanks for reaching out. One of the really interesting things that immediately jumped off the page to me in our pre-show conversation was how you mentioned Parkinson's as background noise. That was the phrase you used. You've been diagnosed now for 10 years, is that correct?
Correct. Oh, wait. Now it's 2018.
So talk to me. That's somewhat remarkable. And I think people are going to hear about that you've been diagnosed for 10 years, and yet you don't feel it's a serious impediment in your life. You realize it's there, but again, it's background noise. Can you expand on that for me?
Sure. I mean, I consider what I imagine it is for other people to have, to be managing their diabetes or lower back pain or high blood pressure. It's just something I take care of. I do a few things that are specific for managing it, like exercise a little bit more than I might have otherwise. But I still work full time. I've never been doing better in my life and in work than I am now. It's some people notice it, and sometimes the symptoms aren't even that noticeable. So in that sense, it's not my identity. I'm not a guy with Parkinson's first and foremost. I do all the things that I do, and I am who I am in all my relationships, and I also have Parkinson's.
I think that's very important. There are the people who do identify to a certain degree who feel handcuffed. And like you mentioned, for some people who have more severe symptoms, it can naturally feel that way. One of the people we met on our first trip for Boys of Summer told my dad, don't let the disease eat you. And, you know, there really is a conscious effort that goes into it. You told me that you had depression for most of your life until about 5 years before you got Parkinson's. Talk to me a little about that, about how you got a hold of your depression and how you've kept it off of you, because it's such a serious problem with Parkinson's since you've been diagnosed.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people report that the diagnosis itself can trigger depression, or the actual biological effect of can be associated with depression. Yeah, in my case, my story was, like I said, I was depressed for many years, and it got to a certain point where but I was always an explorer and a reader and a investigator. I was always interested in philosophy, and there came a point where I did a workshop on non-dualist philosophy, and I got the idea that really maybe my depression, maybe I can do something about it. And there was really a moment, I can still remember it. I was in a bookstore, and I was reading a particular book that was about therapeutic interventions that don't require years and years, but that can work. She called them power therapies or body-centered therapies. And I remember that moment. I said, you know what, damn it, I don't have to be depressed for the rest of my life. I'm going to do something about it. And I tried she recommended 3 things. I tried all 3 of the things, and they all worked. And I think to maintain the good mood, it's really important to be in communication a lot, to be in conversation a lot, not isolate yourself. I have a lot of wonderful, long-term, close relationships with friends, and that is huge. I think looking back on my depression, what sustained it for so long, and perhaps what even caused it in a certain way, is isolation. Just separating myself. And you can get into a trap where you feel bad about yourself, which makes you less likely to want to go out and meet people, which makes you feel worse, and blah, blah, blah. But you can build the opposite spiral too. You can get out, get something done, which makes you feel a little bit better, which makes you want to get out more. But it takes some self-awareness and some focus.